Welcome to the Boston Bros Political Podcast, coming to you from the InsideLowell.com studios in beautiful downtown Lowell. I am Jim Campanini, co-host of the show, with my good friend, political columnist of the Boston Herald, Peter Lucas. Peter, how are you doing today?
I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be in beautiful downtown Lowell.
I love that hat.
It's great. This is in honor of Barack Obama.
Why is that?
Who's on a yacht, Steven Spielberg's $350 million yacht, off the coast of Italy.
Isn't it? You got to appreciate the Obamas. I mean, here's the former president lashes out at Donald Trump one day. The next day, he's getting arms out, embracing Steven Spielberg, walking up the up to the big yacht and everything. Like, okay, I get that out of the way. Let's party.
He was blaming Trump and the MAGA supporters for the poor assassination of Charlie Kirk, which was disgraceful. Then he's on a plane. He should have gone to the memorial. That's what he should have done if he was interested in bringing the country together again.
Yeah.
But there he is today off the coast of Portofino, Italy, living the high life.
Yeah, and I thought it was interesting that Michelle Obama, his wife, showed up a day before him. So she arrived separately before him. All these rumors going back and forth. She's going on, TV shows or explaining.
And there's no truth to the rumor that Spielberg is going to make another movie calling it Saving Barack Obama.
Okay. Well, we get that out of the way now, but we might turn back on Barack Obama. But, it was a very somber week. The vigils and the talk and about Charlie Kirk's assassination, and the conservative. He was conservative, but he raised the dialogue. He brought things out, and he talked with liberals and libertarians and Democrats, Republicans, the like, and he was bringing this to college campuses. And Peter, the thing about this last week, I thought his wife's speech was incredible. The responses from different people, but I just can't believe the overall tenor of this whole thing. It doesn't seem like the America it was 50 years ago when we could come together. There were still polarizing points on the extremes, but basically from radical Democrats. But your thoughts on the past week?
Well, I've been around a long time, but I've never heard a speech quite like the talk that Erica Kirk gave. It was moving, it was telling, it covered all the bases. And what she pointed out during that speech was how Charlie Kirk and her were concerned about the lost boys of the West. These are young American, white, Christian young men in this country who are so disengaged from society that they live these strange, lonely lives, mainly on the internet and on the dark web. And they're all about the same age, their early 20s. And they end up killing people. They end up turning out to be assassins, like this young kid up in New Hampshire recently who shot up the wedding in Nashua, 23 years old, living in a condo with his grandmother, no doubt spending all his time on the internet. And then you get this Luigi Maglione, another young man, 22, 23 years old, allegedly shooting a health executive in the back in Midtown Manhattan. And you get the attempted assassin on Donald Trump by another young guy, 20 years old.
There's a pattern there.
And there certainly is a pattern then. But the only person or institution to seem to have addressed that problem was Charlie Kirk, and now his wife. I don't remember any politicians talking about the lost boys of America. And they're out there.
Yeah.
Where the political leaders are on this issue is beyond me. I don't see any of them out there.
Experts in education, which I was a part of, and as a trustee at Middlesex Community College, and even before that as editor of the Sun. I mean, they've been saying for the last 2 decades, what is going on with the boys starting in kindergarten? They go into school, and you get a kid who's a boy who's a little excitable and stuff. They want to put him on drugs right off the bat, give him the programs, check them for this, check them for that, and it's like they isolate them, and they suppress the young boys and stuff. And this has been and experts have talked about this. What are we doing? Let boys be boys and stuff, and let them play. But no, where did that come from? But going back to Erica Kirk, it was just astounding, that she basically come out and forgave Tyler Robertson, the alleged assassin of her husband, a husband of 2 beautiful children, and it was astounding. I had never seen anything like that, and she was sincere about it. This was not a made-for-TV commercial. The people who were in there crying tears.
Right.
The president was there. I mean, he took a step back and stuff. It was just a moment for the ages in America, if there ever was going to be a unifying point. But of course, right off the bat, you got people on the texting and it wasn't genuine. I mean, a woman is grieving, and I don't know about you. I mean, did you really know about Charlie Kirk before this came? Did you follow him at all, or?
I knew about him. I did not follow him.
Yeah. Okay. So, and I'll attest to being ignorant. I had heard Charlie Kirk's name, but I never listened to a podcast, never saw anything that he had written.
Oh, I listened to him a couple of times. I knew he had an influence on the election and on Donald Trump, but I didn't think it was so big.
Right. So that's when I first became aware of him, but I didn't follow him or anything like that. But now, and I think a lot of the world, not only in the United States, he's captivated a lot of these young people.
Absolutely.
These young people are moving to the conservative side. And I've gone back to read some of the things that he wrote and what he said. And you know what? What's coming out about him being select quotations that are taken out of context. They said he was a homophobe. He was not. He's got gay friends all over the place. And he's got a great quote out there. He says, "It doesn't matter to me what you do in the privacy of your bedroom. I'm more concerned about how you treat your fellow human being," and it's right out there. And that's what his point was. And I can't believe some of the things they've said about him. I mean, he talks very lucidly and education and intelligently about the Civil Rights Act. He says the Civil Rights Act is not incorporated in the Constitution, which some left-wingers in liberal newspapers think the Civil Rights Act is a part of the Constitution. It's not. But he said, yeah, he's all in favor of the Civil Rights Act, but you have to protect it. And you can't turn it into a weapon against one group of people as opposed to the other. I mean, common sense.
He has been shamed. What the Democrats, many of them have done to him has been disgusting. Even before that memorial, even before he was buried, the House had a resolution honoring him in his death, and 58 Democrats voted against it. It passed, but 58 Democrats voted against honoring Charlie Kirk. And among those Democrats were 2 in Massachusetts. Seth Moulton voted against it, and Ayanna Pressley voted against it, which I think was disgraceful. The other 7 Democrats, they're all Democrats, but the other 7 voted for it. And it just tells you how split the Democrat Party is, even on something as memorializing an American citizen like Charlie Kirk.
Well, I commend those 7 other Democrats who had the common sense, the courtesy, and were thinking about America as a whole instead of just partisan politics. I mean, and many of them expressed that viewpoint. Enough is enough. Whether you disagree, there's one thing to disagree with Charlie Kirk or other conservatives about viewpoints and stuff. It's fine. That's healthy. That's America.
Whatever happened to the old saying, "I disagree with what you say, but I will defend your right to say it."
That's what I was
Whatever
going to
happened to
say.
that?
And it leads back to the first amendment and free speech debate. That's now taking place in this country. Maybe something good will come about it, but certainly, people are getting fired by what they say, what they write. We've even had some instances, municipal employees in the state of Massachusetts. There was a firefighter this morning, I read in the Boston Herald, who was suspended from his job, writing on his social media page, criticizing Charlie Kirk and condemning him and stuff. Now, should he be suspended?
It depends on what he said.
Okay, but I'm still a free speech guy, and I still think, just like capitalism, okay, if you truly believe in capitalism, okay, yeah, there has to be regulations. There are consequences for what you do. If you do something wrong, financially, you eventually go to prison or you pay fines. Same thing with free speech. People can turn off and turn on, and like this thing with Jimmy Kimmel, okay. I never watched Jimmy Kimmel, never watched 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐁𝐨𝐬𝐬. They just are not my cup of tea. And to go out there every night, they were supposed to be entertainers. When they first started off, maybe they were funny.
They're not even funny.
Well, that's the thing. They for 2,000 straight days or whatever, just hammer the same thing. Republicans are bad, conservatives are bad, and woe for us in America because Donald Trump won 2 elections. And so what? The 75 million people who voted for Donald Trump, idiots, evil, and I mean, we used to accept the elections and move on, and that's it. And whoever the president, whether it was Joe Biden or anybody else, hey, that's my president. I'm going to stick up for him. Might not agree with him, but you know what? I don't want any harm to come to my president because I'm a U.S. citizen. But it becomes weary. They're not even funny. They become voices for a partisan outlook, which they did. And what's your take on Jimmy Kimmel? ABC originally, in the Disney company, originally suspended him.
Why?
Now, last night, which was...
Why anybody would pay attention to Jimmy Kimmel is beyond me in the first place. Yeah. What's his background that he would be an expert on an assassination in the United States? I mean, it's just absurd. And if I ever saw anybody, I saw the replay on television, anybody is in over his head on a subject like this. It's a character like Jimmy Kimmel. Well, what does he know?
Well, it's just really a double standard when conservatives make a mistake, a factual mistake. Okay, they either have to apologize and correct it right away,
or jump
they
off a
lose
building.
everything. Yes, they lose everything. They lose their jobs, they lose their reputation, and no one ever forgets about it. Here's Jimmy Kimmel, who outright lied about the person who assassinated Charlie Kirk, okay, saying the creation of the MAGA world. I mean, he outright lied, okay, and yet he has not fessed up, all right. All the liberals come out of the woodwork to support him and stuff, and
hey,
he gets his job back, and he doesn't even have the courage, all right, to admit that he was wrong.
To apologize for a mistake.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the other thing that's going on. Liberals don't have to apologize. Okay, they just misconstrued, and this is what happens to real tyranny when you tolerate and you become you tolerate mistakes, tolerate crime, tolerate illegal things, and say, oh well, they didn't really mean it. No, there have to be consequences. You can't hold one group accountable and not the other. Okay?
I think Jimmy Kimmel will be off the air soon because he's not being exposed as lying about something. He has a limited talent.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work anymore.
Well, like I said, I wouldn't know if he has talent or not. I don't watch him. If he had some talent, maybe I will watch him. I don't know. But his contract is up in May 2026, so we'll see what happens. I think Disney is going to ride this out. But it's amazing that two of their largest broadcast affiliates, Sinclair Broadcasting and Nexstar Broadcasting, have both declined to put the Jimmy Kimmel show back on the air.
Right.
They total 66 affiliates, ABC affiliates across the country, mostly Nexstars along the East Coast.
Jim, they would be better off putting us on the air.
Yeah, I know. So that's going to have a financial impact because most of them are big markets along the East Coast, including Hartford and stuff. So you'll have to see what transpires in this. But you know what? You just can't have this double standard keep going where a guy is being praised for telling a lie, okay, getting suspended, then he becomes a martyr in the liberal. These. Hey, I read liberal columnists. Some of them are really good because they tell it the way it is. Okay, they got a different viewpoint, but the values in America where you admit your mistakes and you move on. We're a country of second chances. But in this instance, a lot of the elite liberals and news media people, they're praising Jimmy Kimmel as if he was a martyr. I mean, and that's what's wrong in America. That's where we get the wrong role models. Charlie Kirk was a role model. He opened up dialogue on college campuses as he was trying to. He would talk civilly to both sides. He'd engage Democrats, like I said, libertarians, whichever group you were in. He offered up his take and then listened to yours, and he told people, hey, let's listen to what this person has to say.
Not only that, Jim, when you think about it, who on the Democrat, where is the Democrat Charlie Kirk? Who is it? AOC? Who speaks for the Democrats? Who speaks for the young people the way Charlie Kirk did?
There's nobody out there.
I can't think of anybody.
Yeah.
That's why they hate him so much, because he was so good and so effective. And he knocks down all their arguments with common sense and information and background. And that's why he was so effective.
Yeah. So he's definitely going to be missed. Who fills the void for Charlie Kirk?
Nobody. There's nobody out there. And
Even
on the Republican side, well, his wife is taking over in charge of the Turning Point USA. I don't know how that's going to work out. But if she is effective on college campuses as she was at his memorial, I think she'll be a knockout.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Another thing that has come out from this, we saw, Trump go to the United Nations.
Yeah, that was terrific.
Okay, so he went to the United Nations and gave an electrifying speech. Okay, maybe if you were a European, you weren't so happy, but he really stood up to that crowd. I mean, let's face it. How many members are the United Nations?
About 177,
yeah,
something
and
like
most
that.
of them against the United States.
And most of them are on the payroll of the United States, one way or the other.
So he basically told him, he says, hey, the European nations, he condemned them. He says, you want to end that war, Russia and Ukraine? He says, stop buying the energy from Russia. He says, here you want it both ways. I mean, he said it better than that, but he basically put them right on their heels. And then he came out with a stunning comment. He believes that Ukraine can win this war. which is the first time I've heard him say that.
The first time I've heard him say that too. He's come a
What's
long
your
way.
take?
He's come a long way on that. My take is that he's providing a lot of enthusiasm and support for European involvement, much more involvement, like shutting down buying oil from Russia. But also, I think it's a message to the world that maybe it's time for Putin to be taken out. And that's the fastest way to end this war. I think he's energized the Ukrainians, not that they needed more energy standing up to Putin, but it certainly helps them an awful lot.
Well, I think you're right. I think Putin played Donald Trump, went too far, just stringing him along, and now the president's patience has worn out.
I did a column a while back saying Putin is eating Donald Trump's lunch on Ukraine, which he was. But this is a major turnabout for Donald Trump, and I'd be worried if I were Putin.
Do you? What do you think the reaction is going to be from Europe after that speech?
I think they're going to follow Trump's lead, and don't forget Trump.
I mean, he actually told them.
Trump not only leads by words, he leads by action. Look at Venezuela. He's taken out 3 drug ships, bombed 3 ships carrying drugs to the United States. And the world sees that. The video goes around the world. And the Europeans and Putin now realize Trump means what he says. And he does what he promises to do. If I were Maduro, I'd be worried.
The president of Venezuela, he's got to be, I mean, what a corrupt guy he is. He's a criminal. Well, he's wanted, I believe, by the world.
The U.S. has a reward of $50 million on his head.
Yes. Now, but going back to Russia and Ukraine, I mean, Trump actually said before the United Nations, if, Russia sends any aircraft over your airspace or drones,
shoot them
out of the sky. Wow, that's very aggressive.
I would think the coterie of aides around Putin are reading this and saying, hey, maybe we've gone too far. Yeah. Maybe it's time to cut back. Maybe Putin's time to go.
And I think China's getting the hint too, because China's been backing Russia, but they can see that this is this is going to either go to a collision course, or Russia could lose this war. I mean, their economy is suffering, except for being propped up by the oil and energy resources that they have. There's not much there.
We have to understand, when you're dealing with Putin, you're dealing with a criminal. I mean, he's under indictment for murder and war crimes. He can't leave
his own country.
He can't leave his own country. The only places he can go to are Alaska and China.
Well, North Korea maybe.
Or maybe North Korea.
Although I wouldn't trust Kim Jong-un to keep Putin, in lavish quarters. I don't know, but yeah. So that's coming to a head rapidly. And isn't it interesting how Zelensky and Trump now are forming this this great bond here? Like Churchill and FDR. They're becoming brothers.
You're right. Well, Trump will talk to anybody. And even people he's disagreed with in the past, like Zelensky. Because if you're searching for the common good, you need allies everywhere. And that's what I think Trump is doing.
Well, the other thing that got me about Trump, he
what, the escalator didn't work?
No. But
the teleprompter that didn't work?
I don't know who Trump's speechwriters are, but he comes up and he coined some great phrases for the American lexicon. Like he said, he called he said in the UN, but he specifically said to the European nations, he called them beware of the double-tailed monster. Okay, so you say, what is the double-tailed monster? And he goes on to talk about ill-conceived migration and green energy policies are going to take you down. They already started. He says they're ruining your nations, And he put him on notice. And he said, you point the finger at us. He says, well, I'm pointing back at you, but I love that double-tailed monster. He says, and it's growing, it's stretching its tentacles because of your policies. You're not dealing with these issues, and you're falling for the trap.
Part of the reason European countries have been buying oil from Russia is because they went green.
Yeah, and
They
it's
shut
failing.
down all their refineries. They stopped drilling for oil, and they went woke. They went green,
Yeah.
and they've got no energy. So they're buying it from Russia.
Yeah.
That's what the Green New Deal ended up doing in Europe.
Even the nuclear power plants that were just, online to produce energy, they even shut them down. All the Greta Thunbergs of the world
Right.
and stuff. But is she on a boat to Nantucket?
It's on a boat somewhere.
Yeah, but,
Boat to nowhere.
It's crazy. So Trump had a lot to say, and then afterward, you're gonna love the guy. But after it's all over, one reporter said to him, "Oh, are you against the United Nations?" "No, I think they're great people." He says, "It's got great potential."
Yeah.
He says, "This body has a great potential to do good." "Of course not." He says, "We got great potential here." So
Meanwhile, he has settled more disputes around the world than the United Nations can even dream of doing.
yes. So Trump had a good day at the United Nations.
I think he had fun.
Yeah, he did. And where's he off to now?
Let's see where he's off to now. I don't know.
I forgot where he was. He was off to, but he's always on the move. You got to give the guy credit. Joe Biden wouldn't be on the move, but
Joe Biden, he's just worried about what Kamala Harris is saying about him in her book.
You think J.D. Vance and a possibility of other GOP presidential candidates after Trump's term is up, you think they're shaking in the boots over AOC's possibility that she might run for president of the Democrat ticket?
Oh, I think they would be hopeful and wishing that she would be the candidate. That would be an easy victory for the Republican Party, no matter who the candidate is for president in 2028.
Oh, man. How does Gavin Newsom take that, the California governor, when AOC comes out and her accolades are already starting to seed the field there, with AOC.
I thought it interesting. They approved so-called legislation banning federal agents from wearing masks when they're rounding up illegal criminal immigrants in California.
Mm-hmm.
The next thing you know, he'll come out with a bag over his head and say, "We're replacing masks with bags." I don't know. I think he's just flailing around, poor guy, looking for an issue that'll work, and nothing he has done has worked.
Yeah. Well, Peter, I got to admit to you, okay, if I've been reading and seeing, watching more and more Governor Shapiro from Pennsylvania. I think the guy's a sleeper. I like his disposition. Once again, some of the viewpoints we disagree on, but you know what? I think the guy's more moderate than people think, and I like some of the stances he's taken recently.
Yeah, the way the Democratic Party is going now, he's probably too moderate to win a convention. I think he'd be a terrific candidate. And he represents Pennsylvania, one of the key states in any election.
Yeah.
But I think he's just too moderate. He makes too much sense to be a Democratic candidate for president. Because, what are you going to do about men and women's sports? And, the crazy leftist ideas that candidates like AOC and others represent.
Yeah. But he's one to watch, and hopefully more Democrat candidates would find some courage to move to the center and become that magnet like they used to be for all sides. Pick off those Republicans, Rhino Republicans, they call them. Oh, Charlie Baker Republicans. You're gonna have to change some of your ideas, but you know what? It's worth it's worth discovering again, and hopefully there'll be more of them, so there'll be more options in that the Democratic
How about a
Party.
Shapiro Maura Healey ticket?
Well, you know what? It probably would get a lot of votes and a lot of support.
Well, think about it.
Yeah.
A Jewish moderate Democrat from Pennsylvania, a key state,
Yeah.
with a liberal Democrat governor from Massachusetts, a progressive state, and a lesbian, and that'd be an attractive ticket.
I think a Maura Healey would be appealing to a lot of people across America, mostly Democrats, but she's still got some challenges back here, and that could be the Achilles heel with some of the things that are going on in this state that have to be resolved for us. So let's see how she does in the last. She got 2 years remaining.
Yeah, well, she's up for re-election next year, 2026.
Yeah, so we'll see. Right now, I see they're fighting now over is the gambling money, the revenue they're making, being spent the right way? Should more be going towards education? And I say, you're misspending the money you spend now for education. Most of the budget goes there. I was reading about how more and more hospitals are getting rid of their maternity wards, and I say, how could this be happening in Massachusetts and stuff, in the state allowing this? I mean, it's incredible what our healthcare system was known as one of the best across America, but now there are just, it seems to be cratering. Hospitals closing, not enough doctors, people waiting longer and longer to get specialized services. It's like Canada. You know what I mean? Speaking of Canada, Australia, and France came out and they recommended a Palestinian state, a two-state solution.
They support a creation of a Palestine. What baffles me is, what is there to create? I mean, it's a bunch of rubble. All the buildings are knocked down. People have left. What kind of a state is that? I mean,
but why reward, Hamas, Like, even if there was a group like the Palestinian Authority, who's supposed to be running the place or had some authority previously to October 7th.
Because they're catering.
Yeah.
They're catering to the Muslim community in their own countries and as well as elsewhere. That's what I think.
Yeah. I mean, it is ridiculous, and Israel is never going to go for it, not in this present environment, and the United States certainly isn't going to go for it. It might end up being a solution in the long run, but we're not even close to that. But for them to come out this and just riling up. And giving support and rewarding Hamas for the massacre, it's just incredible. It's incredible in France too. I mean,
well, France, come on. I mean, Trump scoffed at it as expected, and without the United States, they'll gain no traction.
But even Australia, what does Australia get out of this?
Well, they do have a leftist prime minister there now, and. They've gone quite to the left. The political atmosphere, the political leadership, I should say, in Australia is now leftist.
Well, you know how a lot of people, after Jimmy Kimmel was suspended, his show was suspended from ABC, they gave up their Disney Plus subscriptions, TV subscriptions, so they canceled in protest. Well, I'm going to cancel my Acorn TV subscription, which it broadcasts Australian, British, Canadian television, even some good shows from New Zealand. So I pay $8.99 a month, Teddy, for that Acorn TV. Some great shows, George Gently. I love George Gently, Irish Blood, But I'm doing it in protest because of Australia. And I tell you, some of the shows that are from Australia are beautiful. They show beautiful views of the country. It must be a beautiful country. I've never been. New Zealand. Have you ever been to New Zealand?
No, I've not been to New Zealand.
They've got some great wines too. Pinot Noir is one of the best, of course, Sauvignon Blanc. But anyway, I got to talk it over with my wife.
Well, we can't really cancel everything. I like
No, you're right.
I like the Channel 2 is the last of the summer wine with those old fogies down there in that series, which is pretty good.
Hey, okay, yeah, I'm conservative leaning, but I got a PBS subscription. I like Grant Chester. I watch that. I watch Creatures Big and Small. I love Masterpiece Theater. Especially when they do the Agatha Christie things. So, and you know what? I love good television and stuff. And in most places they did put out good television, and I even send a donation once a year. Okay, but that's my choice. Okay, I love it and stuff. Now, I don't watch the news programs, which are left leaning.
Right.
Okay, but hey, I want to watch what I want to watch. Right? Isn't that the American way?
That's the American way.
Okay, so moving on, talking about people trying to move up, step up. What do you make of this Congressman Seth Moulton thinking about running against Senator Markey in the next election? Is that valid, or is this just a trial balloon?
I think it's a trial balloon, but it's interesting that the Globe story on the candidacy of Seth Moulton comes only days after Congressman 𝐓𝐡𝐞 said he was not running for the Senate against Markey. So Moulton steps up and declares that he's a possible candidate.
Well, a Kennedy couldn't beat Markey, and a Moulton, I don't know, it doesn't resonate as well as a Kennedy. You think a Moulton's going to beat Markey?
If Moulton runs against Markey, I'll probably vote for Markey. I mean, and that's a tough vote. You look at it this way: whatever you think of,
what is Moulton?
Whatever you think of Eddie Markey, I mean, he'll be 80 years old if he's reelected to a third Senate term, and he's been in Washington for 50 years. Whatever you think of him, he's the only Massachusetts politician who beat a Kennedy when he defeated young Joe Kennedy III in 2020 when Kennedy challenged him for the U.S. Senate. That says a lot. And he's a tough campaigner. He'll be well-financed. And he's been around the state. He's got endorsements everywhere. And he will be, despite his age, tough to beat in a primary or in a general election.
Well, I think Seth Moulton either has a job offer in the private industry in his back pocket, okay, and is thinking about, well, you know what they say in politics, strike while the iron is hot. And unless he's going to run an aggressive campaign attacking Markey for, maybe age.
Jim, the only thing they have going...
I don't see it happening.
The only thing he has going for him in a possible candidacy against Eddie Markey is, quote, anything can happen.
Yes.
In other words, Markey could get ill and pull out of the race, and then, hey, I'm out there, I said I was going to run, and here I am, and so on and so forth. If Markey's still standing, he'll be reelected.
Yeah. Well, I say, Seth, go for it. But if you're gonna go for it, you got to do it with both feet in and go hard. It's the only way you're going to win. You can't.
Of course, that would open up his congressional seat up in the North Shore, which would be very interesting.
That would be.
The one thing you can quote hold against Eddie Markey is that he is a bottleneck. He is, prohibiting other candidates from moving up and changing the whole complexion of the Massachusetts political setup. Because if he didn't run again, there'd be 3 or 4 guys, members of Congress running, and that would open up their seats to state representatives, and their seats would be opened up, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I think it'd be a great race, but I think Markey, Senator Markey, he shows no signs of slowing down. He
No,
really doesn't.
no,
So he
yeah.
might be turning 80, but he acts like he's 70. Thank you, thank you. That'd be an interesting. Certainly, it'll captivate Massachusetts and spark a lot of interest in politics. So we'll have to watch out. Does Congresswoman Ayanna Presley?
I'm sure
jump in?
she would be in if something happened to Eddie Markey.
Boy, what a primary that would be.
That would be an amazing primary.
You know, so that would have been
It would shake
classics.
up politics in Massachusetts like we've never seen before, as Trump would say.
Yeah, yeah. So moving on, I think. Your friend Shannon O'Brien.
Shannon O'Brien.
She's been restored as head of the state's cannabis commission. We talked a little about that last time. It was breaking, but what does that do to the state treasurer, Deborah Goldberg? I mean, she pushed to get O'Brien out. There was over $1 million in legal fees and this is the resolution.
After 2 years.
After
2
2
years.
years. And O'Brien's back, and the place is still in chaos.
And it's amazing. I think that Deborah Goldberg has hurt herself as treasurer because for the last 2 years, this is all the news that's come out of the treasurer's office. And if anybody has any interest in what the treasurer's office is doing, she didn't help putting any spotlight on it. I think it opens up a possible candidacy of somebody running against her.
Yeah.
The interesting thing is, if Shannon O'Brien were interested in a grudge match, she could run for state treasurer because she was once state treasurer herself before she ran for governor. That would be interesting.
Yeah,
That would be a good old-fashioned
Well, I hope
grudge
the
fight.
state auditor. Auditor DeSalio, does a good review on that cannabis commission and the agency, and finds out what is going on with the revenue that is coming in from that enterprise and where it is going, because they've paid out almost, well, we know of 5 settlements they made with employees who either resigned or were terminated for all kinds of different issues, basically from discrimination, harassment. Sounds like office politics. And I think that was the crux of this matter here, because Goldberg wanted to appoint her people and keep her people in that office, and then Shannon O'Brien comes in and she wants to bring in her people. There was a clash there. I think that's what brought this all to a head. But I mean, it's still dysfunctional. It's not helping the industry. So we'll have to watch that and keep an eye on that. So Peter, what do you got going for the rest of the week?
I don't know. I'm waiting for your Hypocrite of the Week award.
Oh no! Before we get into that, once again, I saw this morning, and I really, in our journalism segment, good journalism segment, I got to give credit to the Boston Herald, not because it's your newspaper,
No.
but one of the best stories of last week was the Herald has been trying for months to get documents from the state on this Service Plaza redevelopment. For Mass. It's Mass DOT or
Department of Transportation.
Department of Transportation put out to bid redevelopment for 18 service stations along the Pike and different state highways and stuff. So there's a company from Ireland, Apple Green,
Right. Yeah.
Apple Green,
Yep.
that bid on it, along with a local company from Boston, Global United. Okay, and it seemed like Global United's bid, which was higher than Apple Green, was basically ignored. And it turns out the Herald must have, You know, a little birdie must have whispered something, but they started months ago trying to get these reports and emails between the negotiators. And boy, what a treasure trove finally they got, showing the collusion inside, you know, the agency and one person trying to control what's going on and giving the bid to Applegreen when the state was going to get basically screwed. Well, Global United, to their credit, they kept pushing and pushing. They wanted transparency and the release of all this, and why they wanted an explanation why their bid, which was millions of dollars higher for the state of Massachusetts. Well, the Herald did their investigation, reported all these 269 emails between these two entities, the Ireland company and the DOT representative, and only 3 or 4 to Global United. Tell me this fix wasn't in there, you know? And
it was a public service story. It was a good story.
It was a good story. And then columnist 𝐓𝐡𝐞 had a devastating column in Sunday's paper where he built the case. You could read the emails back and forth. I tell you, if there was ever a deal that was. But why do they write emails back and forth to each other?
I don't know what you put.
It was
on,
devastating.
What you put
it was like
on
the Karen Reed case all over
What you
again.
put on an email stays there forever.
Yeah.
And people can find out.
But these people were glib in their talk, like this is a done deal, which it was, and it just showed the sham of a process. And you think in 21st Massachusetts, we have smarter people running government.
The Herald and Howie did a good job, and the right development. Everything turned out the way it should have turned out.
Yeah.
But it took her crew and a big effort.
Like, you know, I think I stated on the last show, you know, and my wife and I are rewatching after years ago the Herman Wouk's Winds of War, and then it goes into the second part, Warner Amendments about World War II and stuff. And it's interesting because there were some German military officers who knew Hitler was crazy, and they were trying to get the word out. So where would they meet the British intelligence officers or the dignitary? They go to church. You know, they wouldn't get on the phone because back then, you know, phones could be intercepted and stuff. But I'm saying, how dumb are these politicians nowadays? You know, they write everything down, send emails back and forth. I mean, you know, even the mob, don't call me, don't call. You know, used to go on the corner. Let's walk down the street or something. You know,
but everything is on an email now.
I know,
and traceable.
So Applegreen this morning, okay, has pulled out of everything, the agreement and everything else. So it's going to be interesting to see if Global United, which would hopefully benefit the state.
And this is a public service that the Herald has performed.
Yes.
This is what the media is supposed to do. Be a watchdog on government.
Yeah.
And
so Joe Dwinell, the editor of the Herald, you know, they don't have the staff of the Boston Globe. They probably got 1/4 of the staff of the Boston Globe, and hats off to them, because when they sink their teeth into something, they smell something rotten. Boy, I tell you, they turn over the whole barrel of fish. Let me tell you,
it's true. It's true.
So. Yeah, before we close my hypocrite of the week, why don't you tell us what you're going to be working on, Peter?
I'm working on a column about the Charlie Kirk fallout and the sad development of the Lost Boys of America that we talked about earlier, and what's happened to the young men in the United States and elsewhere, but mainly the United States, of the young ages of 20, 22, 24, who end up hooked on the internet and the dark web and come up with crazy theories that sometimes end up in tragic fashion, like shooting innocent people. It's too bad, but that's one of the things I'm working on.
Yeah. That's good. We'll have to look for that. Peter Lucas, writes 3 columns a week in the Boston Herald. You should look for them because they're great reading. They're always insightful, and they're factually based. So yes, he does have his opinion and stuff, but Peter will always back it up with facts. So it's always look forward to a great.
All right. Where's your hypocrite of the week?
So my hypocrite of the week.
What about my hypocrite of the week?
You want us to go first?
All
Yes,
right,
let's
I'll
do
go
yours.
first.
Your hypocrite.
All right, my hypocrite of the week is Congresswoman Laurie Trahan.
My congresswoman?
Yeah, my congresswoman too, because after making $159,000 in the stock market in 2025,
How much?
$159,000
Oh my God.
on the stock market, she is proposing legislation calling for prohibiting future Congress people from playing the stock market.
Incredible. Incredible.
I mean, you know, good luck to her. I mean, she made $160,000, and so now nobody else can make that kind
She
of money.
probably didn't know what she had in her dividends when she saw. She says, wow, the rich just keep getting richer. I got to change this, you know? So maybe she met the...
Well, the poor girl from Lowell is a millionaire now.
yeah,
You know?
God bless her. Yeah. A good one. And I've got my hypocrite of the week, and it's the associate editor and political columnist for the Boston Globe, Renee Graham. It got little notice. Matter of fact, I called up Peter a week ago after the Jimmy Kimmel story broke that, that was one thing. But the Globe wrote an editorial after Charlie Kirk's assassination, basically saying the original headline said, we need more Charlie Kirks in America. And they were going to the point where he was raising civil discussion over both sides. He encouraged both viewpoints, which leads to the fact that a lot of these people are way off base when they talked about Charlie Kirk being a right-wing conservative. Yeah, he was conservative, but he was opening this dialogue on college campuses to bring people together. Thoughtful discussion, okay? So she's a member of the Boston Globe's editorial board. Now, as an editor, 30 years at The Sun, you know, I was on the editorial board because I was the editorial page editor, the managing editor, and then the editor-in-chief. So how does the editorial board construct this? It's usually the publisher, okay, of the newspaper, the editor of the newspaper, and then, editorial executives, managing editor, this. The Globe has its own setup. I mean, we would never have at The Sun. It was basically the publisher, managing editor, editorial page editor, the general manager, who was Kendall Wallace. Jack Costello was the editor at the time when I first started and stuff. Alex Costello was the editorial page editor. I was the associate editor at the time, managing editor. So everybody constructs it differently. But we never put political columnists or reporters on the board. Now, the Globe being diversified, okay, as they like to say, okay, so they opened it up for more divergent viewpoints. But how the editorial board works is everybody states their opinion on controversial issues if they're going to write an editorial. So evidently this one about praising Charlie Kirk in a liberal newspaper was controversial. Renee Graham says her piece in the editorial board meeting, and obviously she got outvoted because the editorial ran, right? Mm-hmm. The editorial ran of the paper. The Globe got a lot of response to that editorial, but besides the point, she goes, takes her ball and quits the editorial board. She says, I'm resigning. Okay. Now, the point of an editorial board is to raise discussion, and there's all different viewpoints and stuff, but then you take a vote on whether we're going to go with this, take this stand or not. It's like endorsing for president. We're going to endorse this person or not. I mean, I was on the losing end of quite a few votes, you know, when I was at the Sun editorial board. But, you know, you're all on the team. You take it. And in most of the cases, I had to write the editorial for the winning side, and the publisher then puts a stamp of approval on it. And you know what? The editorial is the dictator in chief, because he could be outvoted 4-1, but if he's strongly in his position, he could overrule the 4 people. It's not a democracy on an editorial board. The publisher or owner of the newspaper gets the final say, and it's the ultimate say. So it's like John Henry being the owner of the
Are you
book.
saying she's a hypocrite?
I'm saying she's a hypocrite,
Okay.
because she joins the editorial board noting they want to hear her voice, but it's not going to be the ultimate voice. And she's supposed to participate. But she's basically saying, it's either my way or the highway.
Yeah, but she didn't quit the paper.
No, she didn't quit the paper. No. She's going to continue to write her mediocre column, which is strictly left-wing liberal. And we don't have to go into Renee Graham's background. You could look her up and stuff and make a decision on your own. But anyway, you want to be part of the team. You want to be part of the game. She's not a team player. That's basically what I'm saying. She's a hypocrite for being on the editorial board, and she's supposed to raise her viewpoint, and try to persuade others. But when you lose and everybody else decides, well, that's not the way we're going to go, what does she do? She leaves the team, and she basically denigrates the whole process.
Boy,
Renee Graham is my hypocrite of the week for freedom of expression, free speech, freedom of thought.
Boy, I hope I never get on your bad side.
Well, it's the way it is. It's the way it is. And you know what? That story didn't get any play. Media Nation, Media Nation is a digital organization, right?
Yeah.
They broke the story. It didn't come from the Globe, and spotted it, and I told Peter about it, and and it's true. So long, Renee Graham. Your voice will not be heard except in your mediocre column.
Maybe she'll take Jimmy Kimmel's place.
And on that, we're going to close. So until our next show, the Boston Bros are signing off. Let's go, Red Sox. 5 games to go. You got to make the playoffs.
Let's go, Patriots.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Do something.
All right. Have a good week, everyone. Take care.